What's going on, everyone? We are back with our regular rotation. Thank you for subscribing and listening to the Retro Gamers. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
What's up, Ant? We are back together.
Yeah, I know. I was a little lost without you last week.
We had a special edition episode last week, New York Comic Con. That we had like a not even a
well for
crossover.
for some of us who attended.
Yeah, not even a. Don't worry, you got your San Diego Comic Con. You can broadcast from next year.
Oh my God, yeah, that too. Sure, that'll happen.
So we had again, not even a crossover episode, more of a hybrid episode of the Retro Gamers and Victims and Villains, as myself and Josh actually live broadcast and did a live podcast while walking the floor of New York Comic Con out here in New York City.
Yes, and shout out to Josh. Congrats on surviving your human interaction with Larry.
You should congratulate me that I wasn't electrocuted during the whole process, because we had to really stick together because I had all the wires for the recorder and for the microphones in my bag, and we're shuffling through the floor of New York Comic Con. So
were you two up? You two were up close and personal.
Yeah. So if you walked too far, I was getting zapped probably.
Nice. Well, see, now that would have been entertaining on the podcast.
I would have listened. I'll sacrifice it. Would have been awesome.
Well, next time, go all the way, Larry. We shouldn't do anything halfway here.
I'll see what I could do. Yeah. So New York Comic Con, it was fun this year. I mean, listen to last week's special edition episode. It was kind of, I know it's a little bit more of a visual, but when you hear, me and Josh were talking about some stuff video game related, some stuff comic book related, pop culture related. We saw a lot of the costumes for the Justice League movie that's coming up that they had on display. So a lot of cool stuff. And game wise, which I'll get into in a moment, there was a little bit more representation of classic games than in the past. And I'm not just talking about just regular vendors selling games, which I'll talk about in a moment.
I was going to say, I think with retro games, making this big, I don't want to say making a big comeback, but you know what I mean? Starting, the whole retro game thing becoming more and more popular. I have a feeling that's just going to grow at conventions like Comic-Con and other ones. Because
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the interest in retro gaming has definitely has gotten greater since we've started. Mm-hmm. Much less, since we've been retro gaming for like forever.
No, literally, absolutely. And I'm gonna post some of these. I've been posting actually some of these on Instagram, _retro gamers. Some of the retro gaming cosplay that I've seen there, and I'm just going to send you a few here if you haven't seen any.
Yeah, no, my particular favorite was the Mario Kart ones. I thought those were really well done.
That's right. So I don't know if you saw this one, so I'm going to describe them here in a moment. So basically, I sent over some of the cosplay was the Super Mario Kart cosplay. There was 4 people dressed up with basically almost looked like little carts. We had a Team Rocket. With Ash and Pikachu, a few Team Rocket I actually saw from Pokemon.
That's not surprising at all.
Yeah, the third
Pokemon's a big deal.
And the third photo I sent you there is of one of the more original ones. It was the girl dressed up as King Koopa, and her shell and Koopa hat completely knitted.
Oh wow, that is
yep,
that's fantastic.
Completely knitted. We have a Link and a Zelda, and then I think fitting for October, we have a Zombie Luigi and Zombie Princess Toadstool.
Well, I mean, that just makes sense.
And I think one of the funniest original ones, and that last picture I sent you, was 3 characters from Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, are those made out of paper?
Oh yeah, but they're blocky, just like the graphics from Final Fantasy VII.
Right, it's a true PS1 tribute.
It really is. I thought that was pretty cool as well. So
That's really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And beyond that, we had some other like kind of video game retro related stuff. Some of this I'll post when the podcast drops. What I'm sending Anthony right now, this is well, you'll see when it comes through. So there it goes, and send that as well.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it was, if you remember, Muscle. The little figures, the flesh-colored figures, wrestling figures, but they made Street Fighter 2 Muscle, they made Mega Man Muscle.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Did you buy the Mega Man ones?
No, at that point, actually, I was walking around with Josh, and I was pretty low on cash at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, after day one, when you told me you spent your entire weekend's budget, I was
really
like, oh,
did.
yeah, well, that's not surprising.
Oh, my God, I spent so much money on Friday. It's ridiculous.
I can only imagine.
It's a nice Goro statue.
No, that is not
Goro.
Not Goro. That is Kintaro.
You're right. I apologize.
Mortal Kombat 2.
I apologize. You are correct.
Yes, and it is amazing Kintaro statue. So yeah, so anybody listening, just head on over to our page and check out these images. They're pretty cool.
Absolutely. And as far as art that I bought, I think this one, I think you'll really get a kick out of. This one I love. I think I may have already shown it to you as it's coming through. It's basically, it's on a sheet of metal, and it's an NES controller.
Yes,
and
I saw this.
It's on metal. I mean, this thing is gorgeous.
Yeah, but the question is going to be, where are you going to hang it? You're out of room.
No, you know what happens? Actually, there's a whole section of my wall I was saving for a poster that I have. For Christmas many moons ago, my parents got me a WrestleMania 1 poster signed by like 25 different wrestlers.
Oh, wow.
But we never got around to framing it, like, because we're going to put, that's going to be like professionally framed, not like the Michaels frames that I pick up every now and again, but we just haven't gotten around to it. So
no, hey, don't disrespect Michaels. They have some good stuff.
Oh, I love, most of my frames are from Michaels, but this one's, they're giant poster frames. I'm going to be honest, don't really hold up too well. And then this I just want to show and then we'll get into it because I bought a lot of games at Comic-Con. This is pretty cool. Well, first of all, the Nintendo metal art, I want to give a shout out to Herofied. You can find them on Facebook. They got a lot of cool metal sheeted signs, all original artwork. It looks pretty sweet. And this I'm sending over to Ant right now, which I'll also put this on it's not retro gaming, but I think it's pretty cool and stuff that I like. Some kaiju art, giant monster art, which is, as Ant's going to look at it now, King Kong and Godzilla. And
that's not retro gaming.
No, it's not. The King Kong on top.
You're breaking the rules of our podcast.
The King Kong on top is actually original artwork. That's watercolor, original artwork. The Godzilla was a print. He threw that in with the original artwork. So I thought that was pretty sweet as well. That's from Nicholas Dertinger. You can catch him out. Nicholas Dertinger. And then the final piece of art.
Is that a little Howard the Duck sticker I see on the Godzilla one?
That was kind of like his business card. Yeah, it was a little Howard the Duck. Like literally, it's like 2 inches by 2 inches.
That's cool.
And then the final pieces I want to show you, which I'll put up on the page later on Tuesday, is a group called 13th Floor. You may have seen their artwork in the past. And he takes World War II photos and superimposes Star Wars into it, and I mean it comes out
I did see this, yes.
And the guy was actually there, so I got these pieces of art signed by him. Again,
that's
from
fantastic.
13th Floor. And the Battleship one, it's funny. I crashed at my parents' for Comic-Con, so I brought the Battleship one home. It's battleships and some TIE fighters coming through. And I showed my dad, and I would have never thought, because it's Star Wars, plus it's Star Wars superimposed into war footage. So I didn't think he'd get a kick out of it, but he actually liked it. So then I'm like, he goes, "Who'd you get that for?" I'm like, "Me?" So I go, okay. So then the next day I went out and I bought the other one, which is a couple of infantrymen hitting the beach there, and you see the Death Star in the background. So Dad's getting the poster with the battleships, and I'm going to keep the one with the infantrymen.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, both both signed.
And I agree. I didn't think your dad would take kindly to
No,
that.
I didn't think so. I mean, I thought he'd just find it interesting, but
Yeah.
So.
or he would have condemned you for buying it.
Tear it in half in front of me.
Basically. Well, that's awesome though.
Yes, no, very cool stuff. The big thing I want to talk about though is, so I definitely made some purchases at New York Comic Con. I purchased 6 NES games at New York Comic Con, on top of the 12 that showed up from GameStop.
Yes, and I happen to do a little shopping at GameStop as well. And for anybody who's listening, and it's quite possible that when this podcast drops on Tuesday, that the sale may still be going on, because as of today, the sale was up and running.
Oh, okay.
Still. So GameStop is having a retro game sale, or just a used game sale in general. Actually, if you buy 4 games priced at $9.99, you get 50% off all 4. So you buy $40 worth of games, you get them for $20. If you buy games that are listed at $4.99, and you buy 4 of them, you get them for $10 instead of $20. It's again 50% off. And if you buy 4 games that are $17.99, they will give you almost 50% off basically, and they'll drop it down to $10. So then you can get 4 games for $40. So which is basically a really good sale.
Oh,
if you're trying to stock up on games that have been out for a while, whether they're, it's as recent as PS4 and Xbox One. So it's like it goes all the way up to the current systems, but goes all the way back to the NES as well. So yeah, anybody out there who's interested in stocking up, or building their collection on a bunch of games they've been thinking about buying, or they were going to buy and they didn't, and now they're priced down, it's like now would be a great opportunity to grab some from GameStop.
Oh, absolutely. I went in there, I saw a couple, and then next thing I knew, I got like 12 games in my shopping cart. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be telling you about the 20 that I bought.
This was my fear when we started this podcast. Yeah. That I would just, and some of these games I can easily buy for like real cheap on the Virtual Console from the Nintendo Virtual Console, which I don't have a problem with. But then again, like we've talked about in the past, there's something about having that physical copy, especially since I got the Retron HD and the games work.
Right. Yes, and the same with me, but without the Retron, because I have every original system.
So, you want to start? See what games you ended up getting in the mail?
Yeah, sure. You've been talking enough. All right, so I will start out with no, I'll end with that. I thought it would be funny. Oh, all right, so I'll try and start with like the more current ones, since we're more about the retro games. But I did buy stuff all the way up to the PS4. So for PS4, I picked up Batman Arkham Knight.
Oh, nice.
Because I have the other ones. I have the other ones, and that was the one that I was missing.
Okay.
I don't have Origins yet. I got to look for that. But I got Batman Arkham Knight, and again, like the prices I got for these were great. So that was like $5.
Oh wow! Holy cow!
Yeah. So that was one of the $10 games at half off.
Okay.
For Xbox 360, I got Red Dead Redemption.
Nice.
Which everybody talks about how great that game was, and I had never gotten a chance to play it. Somebody had told me that like it's like Grand Theft Auto in the Wild West.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I was like,
GTA in the Wild West.
I was like, perfect. Yeah. And I know I know the second one is coming out soon. So I picked that up for $5 also.
Wow.
Mass Effect for 360.
Good pull.
Also $5.
Very good.
Uncharted 4, Thief's End for PlayStation 4.
Wow, that's recent. Okay.
Yep. Also $5.
They're planning a movie for Uncharted, and what's his
face?
Tom
I heard
Holland
about that.
Is going to be in it.
Yeah, I heard about that. Looking forward to that. All right, so now we're going to go backwards a little bit. So we'll switch back to the Wii.
Okay.
On the Wii, I picked up Super Mario Galaxy, which is one of the very few console Super Marios that I have not played. Galaxy and Galaxy 2, but I picked up Galaxy for $5.
Oh wow,
which is insane. I
Absolutely.
was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that to be that cheap. And then going to the Xbox, the original Xbox,
okay.
Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic's buddy Shadow.
Sonic with a gun. That's what it is.
Sonic with a gun for a whopping $250. Oh, I'm sorry. Mass Effect for 360 was only 250 also. Wow.
Holy cow. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got some great deals. And then we're going to jump to N64. I picked up South Park.
Which one?
Remember the original South Park?
Oh, okay.
The first, I owned it when it first came out, and I remember like I didn't enjoy it that much because it was a first person shooter kind of game, and I'm not big on first person shooters.
Yeah.
But I picked it up for nostalgia purposes, and again for $5, so I was like, you can't go wrong. But it was kind of fun to go back to it and listen, and like because the opening to the game is the original opening to the show, just done in 64.
Oh, that's right.
Like
that's
in 3D.
Right. Yes.
So it was actually really weird because it's the first time ever you see the South Park characters in 3D.
That's true, yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. And then let's move on to PlayStation 1. I picked up a handful for PlayStation 1. So I also picked up Final Fantasy Anthology for PlayStation, which includes Final Fantasy 5 and 6.
Oh, okay. Oh, yep. Weird. Okay, cool.
So those were two Final Fantasies I've never played. So and everybody says that 6 is pretty awesome. So
okay.
I want to give that a shot. I also picked up Resident Evil 2 for PlayStation. Now, I had Resident Evil 2, and I have the original packaging, like the original box with the instruction booklet, but for some reason the discs disappeared.
Really?
So for the longest time I've been carrying around the original casing without the game. So
did you know this until recently?
I figured it out. I think a couple of years ago. Well,
okay.
No, I figured it out like last year when I took out all my consoles and decided, okay, we're gonna play these suckers. And then I opened it up and I said, wait, where's the game? And then I went through all my music CDs and everything, couldn't find the game. So GameStop had it on the sale. What?
That's like when I did a flea market. Like I actually set up a table at a flea market, and I was selling a lot of stuff I gotten from all the crates I was doing for a while, like Loot Crate and all this stuff.
Yep.
But I also had because I had all the AC/DC CDs, but I had converted them to digital, so I didn't need the physical CDs anymore. So I was selling all of them, and a guy was going to buy all 10 albums. I was like, sweet, I made him a good deal. He starts to walk away. He goes, the CD's not in here. It's like, oh, it must be in my car. I apologize. He goes, it's not in this one either, or this one either. I sold them all cases, and I didn't even realize to this day,
wow.
That was like 2 years ago, I still don't know where those CDs are.
Wow.
Clearly, I gave him his money back, but I had no. I
was just going to say, you were trying to rob people, basically.
It was wild.
That's a great thing to announce on a podcast that people
It was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Anyone who listens to our podcast who happens to work for the authorities, I'll give you Larry's address. Let's see. All right, so Resident Evil 2, I completed my set. My
very good, very good.
Also picked up Resident Evil. Oh, right, this is more recent. Resident Evil 5.
Ooh,
for
okay.
360. Yeah, because I stopped playing Resident Evil after Code Veronica.
You loved Code Veronica too.
I loved Code Veronica. Oh. I thought that was great. So I played 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica, and then stopped. So 4, 5, 6. I don't know where they are now. 28.
I think they're up to 8, 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're on 7 or 8. But like now, I think I have 4, 5, and 6 sitting here. So
okay. Cool.
I plan on picking those up again. And now back to the PlayStation 1. 2 games I picked up that were 2 of my absolute favorites on the PlayStation, and of course. One of my favorite Marvel superheroes. So Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro.
Oh, fantastic. We saw Spider-Man a couple weeks ago when Brandon was playing live.
So, and I used to love the fact that like Stan Lee for Spider-Man, he's the one who narrated like basically your instructions. Like when you did practice mode, he taught you how to be Spider-Man.
You sure
and who better to teach you how to play Spider-Man than Stan Lee? So those were my 12 of the 20 games I picked up. That was my first order.
Oh, you did 2 separate orders. Okay.
I did 2 separate. So that was my first order, and I picked up 12. And then I was like, I didn't pick up any NES games.
Oh.
And I should pick up some NES games. And then I went back online and I was like, there's some good ones on sale, so I might as well pick those up too.
They're still there and still available.
Right. And lo and behold, I picked up 8 NES games, which arrived on Thursday.
Nice.
So just to go down that list really quickly, Blaster Master,
Nice. Good pickup. Good pickup.
great game. And actually, one of my buddies, Rich, who listens to our podcast and was on once or twice, he was a big. I remember him playing this when we were kids all the time.
Oh,
Blaster
Rich.
Master.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
okay,
you know
yeah,
Rich.
Yeah.
So picked up Blaster Master, the original Metal Gear,
Ooh, nice.
very first Metal Gear.
You can smoke in that game.
Yes, I know. That's why I liked it. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which some people would say was better than the movie. I particularly liked the movie. I don't know why.
Yeah, great movie.
I was a kid. No, it wasn't. I was a kid though.
Is this a
Temple
thing?
Of Doom?
Temple of Doom is not a good movie?
Oh yeah, no. Most people do not like Temple of Doom.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Well, that's because your ears are closed.
No, I mean, look, there's no fridge. There's no nuking the fridge. All right, we'll talk about it later.
Well, that's a different podcast. Moving on to Double Dragon and Double Dragon 2.
Nice pickups.
So the crappy Double Dragon and its superior. When you play Double Dragon 1 on the NES, it's just very cumbersome. And I think that's why people, compared to the arcade version, it didn't port very well.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, and Double Dragon 2 is awesome.
Yep.
The original Ninja Gaiden.
Okay, good stuff.
Which is excellent. And then Spy versus Spy.
I forgot about that game.
Yes. And to be honest with you, the game isn't anything special. It's, you're basically just planting bombs in places, trying to blow up the other spy. But, as a huge fan of the little comic the comic book when I was a kid, that was just a fun pickup. And last but not least, Spy Hunter, which I forgot how awesome it was.
Oh, fantastic pickup.
Love that game. And now the one little bit in the one little humorous bit of this story. So I take out all the games the other day to test them on my consoles.
Okay.
Because I have all the consoles hooked up. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, because some of these games are old and maybe one of them may not work. And I wanted to make sure, they all worked. Otherwise I would have to, send them back for a replacement. So I test all 20 games. One of them does not work.
Uh-oh. Let me guess. It's in one of the NES games.
Nope.
Really? Ooh, okay.
All of the NES games work perfectly.
Oh, wow.
So, right. So we're talking. Okay. So of all the games that I purchased, the games that are 30 years old work fine. The game that doesn't work, Batman Arkham Knight for the PS4.
The newest one, probably.
Yes. Pretty much the newest one on my list is the one that does not work. All the old games work without a problem.
Oh. Does it just not boot?
Yeah. It just sits in the console and doesn't do anything.
Is it all scratched up? Could you tell?
No, it's clean. So I don't know what the problem is, but I'll be heading over to GameStop this weekend for a replacement because I can pretty much guarantee that they have that used game in stock.
Oh, I'm sure.
So yeah. So those were my 20. Larry, I believe you have 18. So
yeah, I'm short too. Well, it's maybe 19 because I did buy one separately, which was a newer one, and I myself had some. Have some games that I do have to contact GameStop about because they're not working. I'll get into so of the 6, 12. Yeah, so of the 18, I got 19. I guess we'll call it. 4 of them are not working. One of them didn't work, which I got to work, and we'll get into a moment. But first, I just want to talk about again. This is a recent game, but a couple weeks ago we talked about side-scrolling shooters, vertical shooters, and my personal love for them.
Yes.
So I did pick up on the PS4 Raiden 5 Director's Cut, which is a fantastic vertical shooter. Great series. And this one's really cool because it has it actually has narration to it. Like it's almost like not a cartoon, but it's got some really good narration to it. It's Raiden 5 Director's Cut. It comes with a soundtrack as well, so I got to play that. See how that
that's kind of cool.
So that plays awesome. So that was a recent one. So here is my haul. I've kind of grouped them together. I don't remember which one's from Comic-Con, which one's from GameStop, but here we go. And these are all NES games. Mm-hmm. Ninja Gaiden 2.
Nice.
It's a really good
I almost picked that up.
A classic, which actually I bought this game from my father, so he has a copy of it at home, but I bought one so I can play here. Silent Service.
Oh yeah, I remember that game.
Love, and I popped it in when because I tested all these. I put it in, and this is probably, of all the games, amazingly, this was the one I played the longest, like for a few minutes because I wanted to test them. But I sat there, I just started playing this game, and everything just came flooding back. Oh, Silent Surface is great.
Very cool.
Tetris, which I've never owned. I never originally had it on the NES.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I only had it on Game Boy.
Okay.
1942, which I've been I love. That's probably my all-time favorite vertical shooter.
Yeah, that was another one. Like it was on my list, and I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm buying too many games, and I had to like cut. I had to draw the line. 1942 was where I drew the line, unfortunately.
At least you know where the line is. Me, there wasn't any other games available that I wanted.
Oh no, see, I had a line.
Blaster Master, like yourself.
Awesome.
Carnarv. Because you took the one I wanted from Long Island Comic Con out of my hands.
No. I did not take the one that you wanted. I literally picked it up and had it in my hand, and I said, ooh, Karnov, and then your grubby paw
That's not how I remember
reached
it.
out to take it out of my hand, and I'm like, no, it's mine.
An original black box NES game, Pinball.
Oh, yes, the black box games.
And this is really the only one where the sticker on the front is kind of, but not even bad peeling off. Just a little bit on the corner.
Okay.
But this is probably the worst looking cart that I have, which is good.
Yeah, I was going to say, all of the carts that I got were super clean. Like, all of the labels were great. I was very surprised.
So this one I know I picked up at Comic-Con because I got a little story behind it. Mighty Bomb Jack. I love Mighty Bomb Jack.
Oh, I remember Mighty Bomb Jack.
So, and actually, on last week's special edition New York Comic-Con episode, you actually hear me purchase, and I think the Facebook feed probably already crudded out by that point, but you hear me purchase Mighty Bomb Jack, and you hear my excitement when I saw it. Plus, the guy was selling two of them, one for $10 and one for $15. So I'm like, all right, let's get the $10 one. So I purchase it. Awesome. I come home. I go to put it in, and it worked, but it was like in black and white. It was weird. So I was like, all right. And for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of just hit start to keep moving with it because I forgot kind of what all the graphics look like. It almost looked like a Game Boy version of Mighty Bomb Jack, which, as far as I know, there never was a Game Boy version. So for like 2 minutes, I'm like, did I just get like a Game Boy version on an NES cartridge? Like, I'm thinking to myself, because it looked very Game Boy-like. And then I turned it off, I popped it out, I do what you're not supposed to do, I blew into it, I put it back in, and then that's when it started going a little wacky. Like, I can still control the guy in the front, but it was glitching out. I'm like, all right, no problem.
Okay. So
I actually tried to bring it back to Comic-Con. Now, I bought this at a vendor. The guy doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. It's all cash. But, of course, I have it on video. Oh, maybe we did film it then.
But of course you do.
So I went back and I go, and I'm trying to be nice because there was someone else looking through the game, so I didn't want to yell out, "Hey, pal, your game don't work," because I didn't want anyone else to start walking away from the table.
Right.
So I call the guy over and I kind of whispered to him, I'm like, the game doesn't work. I bought this yesterday. And of course, the guy's like, "What? I can't hear you." I'm like, all right, here we go. So I told him the game doesn't work, and he whipped out this little portable NES. I don't even know what it is. I've never seen it before, but it plays NES cartridges. So he put it in, and it worked. So I'm like, oh, all right, well, I can promise you that this wasn't working on my system, and because I knew he'd question it, so I recorded myself at home, putting it in, turning the system on, it not working. I recorded myself taking it out, and I have a Q-tip. I didn't have any solution. I'll get into that in a moment, but just rubbing the Q-tip on the connectors, because that's worked in the past, even dry.
Okay.
Put it back in, still has that black and white look to it and glitching. So the guy's like, oh, what do you got? So now I'm getting into an argument with him about the Retron. Because he's like, oh, well, the Retron doesn't play old games. Well, I'm like, this is true, but the new Retron plays off the cartridge. It's not an emulator.
Right.
So he kept going, well, it doesn't play old games. I'm like, look, pal, I understand that, but as you can clearly see, the game's not working. You have another Mighty Bomb Jack. In fact, I even told him, I'll pay the extra $5 if you want. I don't have a problem with that, because it's a really good game. I just want to switch this out. And he kept, like, testing it in his little mystery mini NES, which I think all it did was, because on those systems and the old Retrons, when you put the game in, it rips the emulator, and then you just need the game in there just to really play it. It doesn't have to read the whole cart. You know what I mean? I guess it's like one of the pins just tells it it's what game it is. So I didn't believe him as a hole in the wall. So I'm like, all right, he swapped it out. I didn't have to pay the extra money, which is cool. But then I felt bad because like the next 2 people after me asked to test the games. So now he's probably testing everything. I come home, I put the $15 one in the system. Lo and behold, it does the exact same thing. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm stuck with a cart. I'll put it on display. I can buy it on the Wii Virtual Console for like $5. But then that's when I went out and I finally bought a bin of rubbing alcohol. And rubbing alcohol is actually the best thing to use on the connectors. Because blowing into it is actually the worst thing you can do.
Exactly, which by the way I still do out of habit.
You're right. Yeah, and me too. I've done it a couple times too. They actually say the best way to clean it is actually get some brass polish and then rubbing alcohol. But
really?
But we're talking like if you really want to get in there, you unscrew the cart, you take the cart apart, and you really get in there with some elbow grease as well.
Okay.
But just some rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. You rub the sides, dry it off, popped it in, worked like a charm. Mighty Bomb Jack worked like a charm.
All right. Well, congrats.
So, thank you very much. And now I got the rubbing alcohol is now going to be part of the video game display console.
Well, as it should be for any cartridge, cartridge console owner, we should have that.
So to round off some of the games, so the rest of the games that worked, again, all for NES. Marble Madness.
I already have that one.
Rampage.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, Marble Madness is awesome. Rampage, the original Rampage.
Rampage is fantastic.
Double Dragon 3.
Okay.
Yep. Did I say the first Double Dragon?
No, you did not.
Oh.
Did you get the first one?
Wait, did I get the first one?
No, you just said you got the third one.
No, you're right. I thought I had the first one. Oh, never mind. Okay. No, that's spoiler alert. So the rest of the games at work. 1943.
Awesome.
Popeye. Love Popeye.
Popeye was a great game.
And
I think I have that one too.
TMNT 2, the arcade game.
Awesome game.
Great. Probably the best turtle game on NES.
Yeah, either that one or I think that everybody loves talking about the third one too.
I never played the third, the Manhattan Project. I never played
that one.
Yeah.
I think I remember playing it. I have I have two. I have the arcade game, and I think I have the first one as well.
So here are the 4 that I also got, but these are not working. Adventure Island.
Okay.
And Paperboy.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, now those 2, here's the thing. They play, but the colors are off. Like it's missing 1 or 2 colors.
Oh.
Because
it's
weird.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because Master Higgins, the guy on Adventure Island, like his outfit is the same color as the green background, and I know that's not the case. So, and
strange.
Paperboy is like this weird, like lime green hue.
Oh, now wait, is this GameStop or Comic-Con?
These are GameStop. Yeah,
okay.
These 4 are GameStop that aren't working.
So they are going back.
Yes. And I even kept. Did yours come in Ziploc bags?
Yes, they did.
I found that funny.
Well, I think they did the Ziploc bags so they wouldn't put the label on the cartridge.
No, I like that. And they put the label of the game on the inside of the bag.
Yes.
So you can't lose it, which is cool.
Yep.
And then these other 2 games that just don't work at all, Double Dragon 1.
Okay.
And, which I found funny that you bought it as well, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, yours doesn't work?
No, not at all.
Mine works like a dream. I saved some of the little kids in the mines before I shut it off.
I even cleaned them. I cleaned it. Just wasn't. Those just didn't boot up at all. Those 2.
Okay.
So I emailed GameStop, and hopefully they won't have a problem swapping them out, or I'll get other games for same price. I don't care. And that's my video game haul from GameStop and Comic-Con, and I'm really excited to sit down and play these games for a long period of time. I'm thinking about even, I think I'll do some rogue live streaming here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing lately, but I haven't really had a lot of time.
Neither have I, trust me.
Yeah, but me with my lack of time. So I definitely want to do some more live streaming, especially in October, because October is our, it's a horror game month.
Yep.
And I have so many horror games that I want to play. By the way, I was very disappointed that yesterday, since we're recording on Saturday, yesterday was Friday the 13th.
Yes.
And I did not play Friday the 13th, the game, on Friday the 13th, which
Bro,
is just blasphemy.
I'm going to be honest with you. I know we talked about it earlier in the day. Like, let's stream Friday the 13th. If I didn't fall asleep at about 8:30 at night, I probably would have texted you at some point to say, hey, let's get on the Xbox. I have just been this week, the last 2 weeks, let's see, 2 weeks ago Friday, I was up at 1:30 in the morning for the Super Nintendo. And then I was just busy that whole weekend. This entire weekend, I had New York Comic Con. I mean, on top of that, work. I just haven't had a chance to rest. And of course, today's like my first day off where I'm not really doing anything. What happens? Yep. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, of course you do.
It was terrible. I mean, I'm wide awake, but
yeah, but still, no, trust me, I get it. I've had an interesting couple of weeks myself. But this Tuesday, not Wednesday, because we usually do our live stream on Wednesdays, like our official live streams for whatever theme we're doing in the month. So, and since I will be traveling on Wednesday for work, I will be doing my live stream this coming Tuesday, and my horror game is yet to be determined. I have about 3 or 4 that I'd really like to play.
Okay.
But I will eventually settle on 1. And maybe 2. We'll see.
Oh, why not? But, hey, listen, you got the time.
Yeah. So so look for my live stream on Tuesday for Horror Game Month, and we'll see what happens.
And 2 more things to wrap up this segment here, if I'd be remiss. Just going back to Comic-Con real quick. One is that this I forgot to show you. So there was a display with some old school games. I just sent Anthony a picture of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out in box.
How much did he want?
$200.
Wow.
I mean, it's a good-looking box. It's almost, I mean, I'm not going to say mint, but it was a really good-looking box.
That does look, wow.
Yeah.
Is that brand new?
I wouldn't say brand new, but close to it.
New.
Yeah. And also, Sci-Fi Channel had like this, not a booth, but they had like a whole section, kind of like a lounge. You're able to get free T-shirts and stuff there and just chill out, recharge your phone. And they had 8 arcade cabinets there, free to play.
Ooh.
I'm not going to remember all of them, but Donkey Kong, Frogger, which wasn't working, Mortal Kombat 2, Pac-Man, not Ms. Pac-Man, unfortunately, but OG Pac-Man, a few others, and they had, which I haven't seen this system, this arcade, in a long, long time, short of, there is a version at Barcade in New York City, about 10 or so blocks from the Garden, but just out in the open, versus Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm going to be honest with you, it had a line.
I'm sure it did.
Yep.
It exists also at the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas.
Yep. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that as well. So it's very, very scarce where it is. But for like just a group like a Sci-Fi Channel, just grabbing a handful of arcade machines to bring with them, I mean, I feel this is the most obscure that they could have picked, which is good. Yes. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy.
No, which is awesome, as you can tell by the line that was there. I mean, it just... Yeah, that is an awesome game. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on it.
Well, remember, it's going to be available on the Switch soon. It's going to be one of the arcade games as downloadable.
No, I meant the actual arcade.
Oh, well, that's besides
that would be awesome.
The 2 biggest complaints.
Yep.
Real quick, 2 biggest complaints people had about versus Super Mario Brothers. A, where's the first 1-up? They all kept jumping for the 1-up. Meanwhile, it's not in the game. And not. 2, how difficult it is to play Super Mario Brothers with a joystick.
Because we're used to playing it with a crosshair, so so totally different. And then one last thing before we end this segment is for anybody out there who plans on collecting video games like us 2 crazy people do now that we have this podcast going. I found this app on my phone. It's called CLZ Games.
Ooh, okay.
Now. Apparently this company also does they do apps for comic book collecting and things like that. But basically, it's an app that allows you to capture your collection of video games. So I downloaded the trial version because the full version is like $15, and I'm like, okay, I'm not paying $15 for an app unless I agree, unless it's really cool. But so I downloaded the app, and then it allows you, at least the free version, to put in up to 100 games.
That just doesn't seem like a lot. Oh, the trial. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the trial version, not the full version. You can put unlimited.
Gotcha.
But the trial version has 100 games on it, and I'm not talking about this to promote the app. It's just that I downloaded it last week, and I'm like, let me give it a shot. So I downloaded it and I put in a bunch of games, and I gotta say, like, this app is really, really cool because not only do you put the games in, but it gives you the I don't know if you can see that on my screen.
Oh yeah.
But it gives you the artwork for the games.
Oh, look at that.
It gives you the console, the year of release.
That's what that is.
Yep. And then when you click into the game, it actually will give you product details, including what the game is going for price-wise online, either loose, complete in box, or never opened.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's also got like the genre of the game, the developer, the date of release.
That is good. Let's promote. I'll put a link. I'll put a link in the description. That looks awesome.
So CLZ games. I'm actually like I've been putting in games just off of memory. I'm like, all right, what games do I have at home just to throw it in there? And I'm like, all right, so I'm doing all of that, and I'm like, I put in 65 games, and I got to say, it's really, really cool. You can switch your view. It doesn't just have to be a list. You can just do cover view and scroll through all the covers.
I like that one.
You can do you sort them alphabetically. You can sort them by console. It's really, really cool. And then there was one thing I could have sworn I saw it, but I can't find it again. I got to look at it. But it'll tell you overall based on your collection, depending on if you adjust it or not, because you can adjust. Like, remember what I told you about the prices?
Yeah.
It automatically highlights the complete in-box one, but you can go into the settings and put which one you have, like if you just have it loose or if you have it in box. And then I could have sworn somewhere in here I saw a cumulative amount for how much your collection's worth.
Oh man.
If you put it all in correctly.
That can get dangerous. I did something like that with the pop vinyls that I had on a website.
Yeah, so yeah, and then you can also create a wish list for games that you want to get. So see, and the reason why I was looking for something like this is because every time if I go to a convention, if I go retro game shopping, basically, anywhere, I can never remember all of the games I've already purchased, and then all of a sudden, like, I'll bring a game home, and I'm like, oh wait, I had this. So I've been saying I need to download something that keeps track of my collection.
I was doing that at Comic-Con at New York. I'm standing there going, did I order this already? Is this in my GameStop order? So,
and I think you can also it's not just for your phone. I think you can download it on your computer also and sync them.
Ooh.
So that way it's not just on your phone.
Sweet.
I gotta look that up and confirm that. But yeah, so I like based on just this trial run I've done with it, I'm very, very happy, and I will be purchasing the full volume because I definitely have more than 100 games.
So check it out, clzgames.com. We'll put the link in the description. And I'm going to leave this photo with you because me and him finally met up.
I'm afraid. Oh, yes. Yes, Josh from Victims and Villains. Yes, mission accomplished. You guys have met in person. I haven't met him in person yet because I live too far away. But I have to say that is one
scary photo.
Janky photo. Yeah. Wow. I see that Josh makes quite an impression.
He sure does. I think I do too. So that's our haul from New York Comic-Con and GameStop. Be on the lookout because this ain't the end of it, folks. There will be more. Oh, yeah, there will be more.
Unfortunately.
All right, it's time for my favorite segment of the week, Wacky Retro.
Okay, so this week's Wacky... I'm actually replacing Wacky Retro games for October with Spooky Retro games.
Now it's my scariest portion of the show.
Yes, so this week's Spooky Retro game is called White Day, a Labyrinth Named School.
Okay.
It was developed by a country called Sonori. And it was developed and released in Korea.
The country developed it?
Yes.
Okay.
No. The company's name was Sonori.
Oh, I thought you said country. Okay.
No. The developer was Sonori.
Fair enough.
It was released in Korea.
Gotcha.
Got it? Okay. It was released on the PC September 5th, 2001. Okay? So, White Day, if you do not know what White Day is just the background to White Day. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, White Day is like Valentine's Day, but the opposite interpretation of it. So, in countries in Asia, White Day is when a girl will give a guy she likes chocolates or something to basically indicate that she likes them. It's basically, like on Valentine's Day, the men give it to give something to women. White Day, women give something to the men they like. And White Day takes place on March 14th, which is a month after Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Okay, so that's the history of White Day. Now, the game White Day, it's a PC Korean horror game which follows a teenage high schooler lusting over a girl, and it leads him to sneak into their high school late at night to put chocolates into her desk on White Day. Okay. I'm sorry.
The other way around.
No. That's correct. Valentine's Day in Asia is when girls give guys stuff. White Day is when guys give girls stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. No problem.
Sorry. Just to correct that. Okay, so he sneaks into the high school to put chocolates in her desk for White Day. Okay? And then, however, what happens is things start getting weird in the school as other students are there sharing ghost stories. And then as the night goes on, all of these ghosts, like a bunch of these ghosts start to show up and all this crazy stuff happens. And then the point of the game is to solve puzzles and outmaneuver the ghosts and scary things that are trying to murder you.
Oh my God.
In the game. Now, additionally in this game, there is a crazy janitor who basically will, if he sees you in the school hallways, he will chase you and beat you to death with a baseball bat.
Oh my God! It's like some public schools.
Yes. Oh, and then on top of that, you're playing as the protagonist. There are no weapons in the game to help you.
Ooh.
So it's basically running and hiding and surviving and solving puzzles to escape.
Oh, that is terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. Now, this game was so scary that the developers had to release patches for the game to make it less scary because people refused to finish the game because they were too scared to play it.
No way! They dumbed down the difficulty.
No. They dumbed down the scares.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought this was a perfect one to focus on for October, spooky retro games. Now, the cherry on top for this one, they re-released it on the PlayStation 4 2 months ago. So I will be getting my hands on this game.
Here in North America?
I hope so. So that is this week's spooky retro game, White Day, a labyrinth named School. I must own this.
All right, so I think I'm going to talk a little bit about the mini craze. I mean, SNES, the NES, the Genesis, the Atari. These are all mini consoles that have been released, and it's not stopping there.
No, it's definitely not going to stop. I mean, I'm sure as more companies realize the value or the the potential moneymakers that all of these minis are, that more of them are just going to keep coming out. We still don't have all of the information on the Atari box. We know that it's going to be. It sounds like it's going to be an homage to the classic Atari, in addition to playing modern games. Mm-hmm. So, I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But meanwhile, earlier this week, it was announced that the Commodore 64, the good old-fashioned Commodore 64, will now be getting a mini console, which I'm sure our one of our guest hosts in the other half of your Better Half podcast, Frank, will be more than happy to hear about, because he's come on our show and talked about how big of a fan of the Commodore 64 he was, because that was his console when he was a kid.
Yeah, and I had a very small handful of games for it. Just recently, you were talking about the abundant number of games that you had.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. I mean, and, the fact that the collection that I have now is ridiculous. And again, at some point in time, when I have the time, a friend of mine, Jamie, is going to join me to do a live stream of my original Commodore 64, and trying to figure out all of the floppy disks I have where the labels fell off.
That should be a fun one.
Yes, we'd like to figure out what games exist on there, and then we'll play one or two, just for fun and nostalgia's sake. So be on the lookout for that. But in the meanwhile, we need to talk about the Commodore 64 Mini.
Yes, and
which has been announced.
Exactly what it sounds like. It is a scale, and you can go to thec64.com. It basically what it is. It's like these other mini systems. It's an HDMI output. It's basically the keyboard, the Commodore 64 keyboard. That has the HDMI output, has the two USB ports, has a controller on it. This thing looks really cool.
Yes, it does look really cool. It's basically it's a 50% scale replica of the original Commodore 64 keyboard. So it's just a miniature version of it.
Okay.
It's going to feature HDMI output.
Sweet.
So you're going to be able to plug this sucker into your nice LED televisions, because I mean, what better games to play on a 60-inch LED television or a 4K TV than games that were created in 1982? So it's going to have a high definition output at 720p.
Nice.
They're not going to 1080.
That's all right.
But then again, I think if it went to 1080, I think all of the games would just melt.
Yeah, right.
Or the sprites on the screen would explode. You're going to get pixel perfect graphics at a 4:3 ratio. So again, no 16:9. Well, actually, no. There will be full width display mode options for the US and Europe. I'm sorry.
Why do you want the game stretched? I never understood that. Just lock it in at the.
Well, some people like to fill their It's the same reason why I'll walk into my mom's house and watch, see her watching all of her shows from the 80s on 16:9, and everybody looks fat. Because I think some people just don't realize it.
That is absolutely true.
So it happens. So it will have a save game function. So for any of those ridiculously impossible games that were created for this system, and trust me, there were many, you will have the opportunity to save your game,
nice.
Which is fantastic.
Thank goodness.
It will have 2 USB ports. Now, the Mini's keyboard is not a functional keyboard. It's just a replica of the original keyboard because it's small. I would assume when we see the actual size of this thing, trying to type on it would probably be ridiculously hard.
I guess you're right.
Or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
However, there will be 2 USB ports, and you can plug a USB keyboard, a regular size USB keyboard, into it, and use the system as an original C64 home computer. It will be loaded with C64 Basic, so you can actually use it. Now, what you can use it for, I'm not sure, because it's not like it's coming with a floppy drive to put games in or anything like that. So, curious to see what happens with that. Or you can use both USB ports for joysticks, so
Very
you can
cool.
play your games, via joystick, which is obviously awesome.
The feature I hope it has is when you load I'm dying to see what it looks like to load a game, quote unquote, because I really want all of a sudden just it's like of the hard drive.
I used to love that. That was awesome.
The 5 1/4.
Because you knew it was working when it was doing that. And you're like, my game is coming. Game's coming. Only 5 more minutes.
Like someone who never had a Commodore 64 before. All of a sudden you hear there's a what is that? What's going on? The machine is going to explode. No, that's the sound of yesteryear.
No, that is. That was also the sound that they pretty much ported over to America Online when it first came out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, listen. R.I.P. AIM.
Oh, that's right. AIM is going away.
No, this little console looks really, really cool.
Yep. Additionally, it's also gonna support software updates via USB flash drive.
Really?
So that already keys us into there will be updates released for this, which could possibly mean additional games besides the ones that are being released on the console.
Hello, modding. Yeah,
exactly.
Holy cow! So we're going to get into the games in a moment. And I don't know if you saw this, but I'm checking out the website. This is only the first edition of this coming out. A full-sized, fully working version of the Commodore 64 is also scheduled for 2018.
Oh man.
And I don't know what they mean by that. Does that mean a monitor as well?
I don't know, but I want it.
So, and also, according to the website, vc64.com, it looks like it's going to be $69.99.
All right, so for $69.99, you're probably wondering what you're going to get for $69.99.
And that's for our international fans. That's $69.99 US dollar, $69.99 British pound. And for those of you suckers using the euro, it's an extra $10, $79.99.
Wow. Okay. So, wow. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So, and $460. What is it? $69.99, right?
Yeah.
$70.
Yep.
So for $70, you're getting, as it makes total sense, 64 games.
There you go.
You're getting 64 games. I should have known that. You're getting 64 games for $69.99 on the C64 Mini. And some of these games, I mean, for anybody who's played the Commodore 64, now I played it as a kid. I'm not going to say I played it extensively or had a ton of games, but some of the games on here I do remember playing, and they were kind of awesome. So you had games like Avenger, not Marvel Avenger,
not
but
the Avenger.
California Games, which was ported to the NES. Cyberdyne Warrior, which may have been a Terminator ripoff. I don't know. Whatchamacallit? Deflector.
Look at Everyone's a Wally. What game is that?
I have no idea. That's why I didn't talk about it. Cybernoid.
Yes.
Which was another game. Cybernoid and Cybernoid the Fighting Machine and Cybernoid 2 the Revenge.
There you go.
Every sequel is about revenge.
You got it.
Let's see. Hawkeye, again, not the Marvel character. Probably two of the better games on the system, or two of the best games on the system, possibly. Impossible Mission and Impossible Mission 2.
Absolutely agreed on that one.
Which were great games. Jumpman, which was a really cool game.
Yeah.
I had a blast playing Jumpman.
Pit Stop 2. I remember Pit Stop 2.
Yep. Pit Stop 2 is another good one. Robin of the Wood. In other words, Robin Hood. Speedball. Speedball was a great game.
Yes, it was.
That a lot.
I don't remember the sequel, but I can't wait to play it on here.
Yep. And then Summer Games 2. Which was really cool. And then one more specifically and then they had Winter Games as well, which I played all the time. And I can never figure out how to get the figure skater to land on her feet. I remember doing that all the time, and I'm like, how do you land on your feet? I don't think she ever landed on her feet once. And World Games, which was another game I played all the time.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Is it a game here, Chips Challenge? What's that?
Yep. So you get 64 games, and then the instructions are all going to be on the website. So you can actually click on the you can go to the website for all of the original manuals.
I'm looking at one of them.
Really cool.
I'm looking at Everyone's a Wally. It has some screenshots. It tells you exactly what to do with the controller. This is a really detailed instructions. It's really cool.
Yeah, because we also got to remember, like, games on the Commodore 64, a lot of games back then, it was, they were text-based games and things like that. So, or they were really, really, really intense strategy games.
Yeah, right.
So your manuals were like super thick, because it was like you're talking about like plotting and planning. And I swear to God, like some of the the war-based games, like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick from the 80s. No, I swear.
No,
There were Commodore 64 games where I swear, if you became an expert at playing those games, you probably could have joined the army and pretty much like worked their computers and their systems, because they were insanely complicated.
You showed us one of the manuals a few weeks ago. Well, you showed me one of the manuals a few weeks ago. Yeah, how thick it was. We talked about it.
It was absolutely insane, and I posted that on our Facebook page. It was absolutely crazy. So like 64 games, $70, great deal. You announcing that there may be an actual Commodore 64 to
I don't know
buy again.
Yeah, I don't know if they mean like a full keyboard, like a working keyboard in itself, or I can't imagine it comes with a monitor of some sort. But that'd be wild if it did.
Oh, it would be awesome if it did, like that good old fashioned tube monitor.
Yeah, right.
Wow. The sad thing is, I'd be all in. I really don't know where else I'm going to put stuff. I'm definitely out of room. I mean, I've got 22 consoles. Only one of them is not hooked up at this point. my Atari 2600. I just don't have that hooked up. But with the Atari box coming out, that'll be rectified.
Honestly.
So yeah, but the C64 Mini, we'll post a link to the page on Facebook, so everybody can check it out. I am very excited about it. I'm pretty sure Frank will be very excited about it.
Yes.
And this is just the original announcement, so more news to come. And the fact that they say it's coming soon, and with all of the information they have on their website, makes me wonder if soon is like super soon. There's no release date yet.
I feel like maybe early 2018 is the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, I have a feeling that may be right. So
Cool.
I will hope for holiday season, because it would make more sense. But
Well, not holiday 2018. Hopefully, it's too long.
well, no, holiday 2017.
We will see. So
Yes,
get
we
it?
will.
See what I did there? We will see. See 64. All right.
Yeah, no, don't do that ever.
The, and the Commodore 64 is not really the only thing of old that kind of was new this time around. And a couple weeks ago, you want to talk about an old video game that had some kind of new life into it. You went to a concert recently, huh?
I did, and I appreciate your attempt at segueing. That wasn't half bad. It was still bad, but it wasn't half bad. So
The only way we could have gotten into it.
No, it's been a couple of weeks, and I've been wanting to talk about this since I went to it.
Yeah, right.
But I got the opportunity to go to the Legend of Zelda: Symphony of the Goddess. It was actually 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. It was end of September, I believe. It was September 30th.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they've been having this concert for at least a couple of years now. And this year was the 30th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda for NES being released in the US.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It came out in 1986 on the Famicom system, 1987 in the U.S. So it was our 30th anniversary. So I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to go to the Legend of Zelda Symphony. So basically, it is exactly as it sounds. It's basically all the great music from all of the Zelda, from 30 years of Zelda games, put together in a symphony. And it was at the Dolby Theater. The Dolby Theater is home to the Oscars.
Okay.
I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, that this was the first time I've ever set foot inside the Dolby.
Cool.
So that was the first and foremost, like, the coolest thing for me, because, as you know, I work in the entertainment industry. I've always wanted, of course, being at the Oscars is going to be one of the things on my bucket list.
You're getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I mean, I set foot in the Dolby Theater. Now, if I could have just found a bathroom to hide in until next year when the Oscars are around, I would have been set. However, wearing a video game T-shirt, jeans, I probably would have been kicked out anyway. So, I get to the Dolby Theater, which is awesome. I walk up the nice red carpeted stairs, which is really, really cool, even though there's no carpet on it. So I go inside. And I got there early. I got there maybe like 45 minutes before the show. Two of my friends were supposed to join me. Unfortunately, they can't because they had a personal issue. So, the two people that wound up sitting next to me were strangers who bought the tickets off of Craigslist.
At least you sold them.
Yeah, but they were super nice. They were super nice. And they paid face value for them because a scalper I am not.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
No, I'm like, why should I? So anyway, get inside the theater in the just in the entranceway of the theater. There's a small merch stand selling programs, T-shirts, and stuff. And the line for this was I don't know how to explain it. It was like snaked 3 times.
Really?
Over just for the merch stand. There was only one merch stand.
Holy cow.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm like, this is kind of not a once in a lifetime thing, but it's like, okay, this is my first time going. I want to get stuff. So I got in line. This was probably the best merch line I've ever been on because they only had one table, I think 3 or 4 employees, and there were at least 100 people in line in front of me.
Wow.
All right. I got through that line in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
They were on it. They were on it. They were super on it. So I picked up a program.
Very nice.
I picked up a program and I picked up a T-shirt from the show, which
very cool.
I'm not wearing right now because it's in the laundry. So did that, and then of course stand around looking around at people. Obviously, you're going to expect people to dress up.
Oh, really? It was
cosplay?
Oh,
yeah. So there was cosplay. There were a lot of Links. There were a lot of Zeldas.
I would hope so.
There were a number of was it Sheik?
Yeah,
Sheik
who Zelda?
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Who wound up being Zelda. So there were some Sheiks. My personal favorite though was somebody dressed up from Link in Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Ooh.
Now, at one point in the game, you have to go to this town, and the name of the characters are, oh man, they're just falling on my head. There's a town in the game where only women are allowed to enter.
Okay.
Based on the race of people, and and my brain's, I'm having a brain fart. And I can't think of it.
Fair enough.
So, in the game, you have to find a costume, so you dress up like a woman to get into the town. So there was a guy there. There was a kid there. He's probably maybe 18, 19 years old. Really like skinny kid, blonde hair, dressed up exactly like Link did when he dressed up as a woman in the game.
That's a pull
to sneak into. And because it was like this really long flowing skirt, and then it was a halter top. So he had the total midriff showing.
Oh man!
And then he had a veil.
That's awesome.
On it looked exactly like the game, and I chuckled, and I didn't get a chance to take a picture. But all of his friends were also dressed up as different characters. But I just thought that was a blast. So anyway, I got my program, got to my seat. The program it ran about 2 hours.
Oh wow! Okay.
Which was really cool. And then. They had obviously they had the orchestra on the stage, and then they had a large screen behind them that was playing footage from all the different Zelda games as they were playing the music. Which was really cool. Some of the specific ones that they pulled out were they did Dragon Roost Island, Majara's Mask medley. They did a Breath of the Wild medley. They did a whole section for A Link Between Worlds.
Oh wow!
They covered those were like interludes, like in between like the main symphonies. Then they did Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and they did a huge finale, which was really awesome. The program that I picked up, it covers the conductors and some of the performers, but then in the back, which I thought was really cool, was they had a gameography.
Oh, that's neat.
Which is really cool, listing all of the Zelda games that came out.
That is really cool.
Which is awesome. And then
I'm assuming the CDI games are not listed.
No. Those, I don't know what you're talking about. There were no CDI games. That is what Nintendo's stance is, and I will stand by that as well. So it was absolutely beautiful, and I did take it upon myself to record a clip from the actual symphony. Okay. I did not record video. I put the phone on my lap and just recorded for the music's sake. So I think we should turn it over, and we're going to play a little bit of that for you guys to hear, and then I will post the entire clip on our Facebook page along with a couple of images from the show.
All right, cool.
So for everybody who's listening here, give this clip a listen, and we'll be right back. right, Larry. What is this week's cheat of the week?
All right, you know what? We're going to sticking with your symphony. And kind of shockingly, I really didn't think there were many cheats for this game, but we're going to talk about The Legend of Zelda. We're talking about NES, original 30-year-old Legend of Zelda. And we're going to talk about something that even I just learned recently, the secret save screen. Say that 3 times fast.
Secret save screen.
There you go. So normally you would have to save pretty much when you die in the game. That's where you pretty much save. But now for this code, though, you need 2 controllers. Basically, on controller 1, you press start. Now, on controller 2, you press up and A at the same time. This brings up the secret save menu. So now you can save at any point in the game. You don't have to just die.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to change the way I feel like I'm going to play this game.
And it's funny. I never knew that, and I've played this game like a million times.
Honestly. I mean, it's on the NES Classic, which has save options anyway, but I'm going to try and kind of maybe almost try and play through it like this. I think that'd be kind of cool.
No, I agree with that. I want to pop mine into the NES right now and give it a shot.
That's better off trying on the OG cart there. So yeah, the secret save screen on the original Legend of Zelda NES, and that's your cheat of the week. All right, you know what? It's October. It's horror month. Let's talk about something a little bit spooky. We had the spooky game earlier, but let's get into the retro spotlight this week.
All right, so this week's retro spotlight is Winnie the Pooh.
Terrifying.
No, absolutely terrifying. No. Speaking of a special shout out to Brandon. Brandon, thank you so much for your live stream this week of the Tigger game.
Yes, right.
I know it's not it wasn't exactly horror related, but I know he had trouble live streaming his horror game, so he just he went with the quickest backup he could find, and Tigger won out.
Listen, Tigger is scary in my family because Tigger accosted my mother in Disney World, so it was terrifying for me.
Oh wow! Well, yeah, I've heard that story before, and let's let's leave that for a different podcast. It's a whole other thing. All right, so keeping in with the horror tradition, as you said, I wanted to do a retro spotlight on a game I've definitely talked about before on this podcast several times. And it's perfect for this month. So this week's retro spotlight is going to be on Tecmo's Deception.
Okay. Oh, one of your favorites.
Yes, one of my favorites, mostly because of the storyline more than anything else. So this week's retro podcast is on Tecmo's Deception: Invitation to Darkness.
Ooh, I didn't even know it had a subtitle. Yeah. Okay.
It did have a subtitle. Okay, so in case you didn't know by the title, the developer and publisher of this game was Tecmo.
Oh. Didn't guess.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. It was released on the Sony PlayStation on July 25th, 1996.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So, and Tecmo's Deception actually was the first of 5 games that was released in its series.
5? So, holy cow.
It's definitely had some longevity, despite the fact that the game isn't very commonly known.
I didn't know about it till we started talking about it here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's a game, like I said, I've had it for 20 years. I bought it when it first came out, and I still own the original copy that I had.
That's cool.
Which is super cool.
Yeah.
Wait. Yes, that is correct. So basically, the basic concept of the Deception games and Tecmo's Deception, it's an action game with RPG elements, and it kind of has a full motion video look to the game, kind of similar to what you would play on Sega CD.
Okay.
Like that full motion, or early
That's
PC
cool.
games like your Seventh Guest and stuff like that. Like it's got that feel to it when you play it.
Mm-hmm.
So your sole purpose in the game, and this is one of the reasons why I like it so much, and I know immediately, you can judge me on this. I don't care. But the sole
judging
purpose
you for a long time.
Yes, it's true. The sole purpose of the game is to ensure the resurrection of Satan and to obtain his power.
Sounds about right.
Right. So you basically make a deal with the devil. Literally, you make a deal with the devil, and become master of this castle. And in this castle, what you do is you dispatch of intruders through positioning and activating traps.
Okay.
Okay. And basically, the whole purpose of the game, or at least the way you proceed through the game, is you have to make a lot of moral judgments. And I'll explain that in a little bit.
Okay.
So the protagonist, you, the player, you take on the role of an unjustly executed man who pleads to the devil to spare his life as he's about to die.
Wow.
So the devil, who is specifically referred to as Satan in the instruction manual. So they tell you basically flat out, you are making a deal with Satan.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yes. So Satan grants you his request, and he puts you in charge of his castle of the damned. So when you take control of the castle, visitors start to show up, and because they know that this is Satan's castle, basically. So some are coming because they want power. Some are coming looking for salvation. Why they're looking for salvation in Satan's castle is beyond me.
Do what you do.
And then other people are coming in for shelter.
Okay.
Now, the basic object for you is you are supposed to trap the intruders, and then when you trap the intruders, then you get a choice. You can either destroy the intruders and collect their souls for Satan and for power, or you can let them escape.
Wow,
now,
let them escape. Okay.
Right, but the choices you make all carry different consequences. So, for example, there's a point in the game where there are two parents, a mom and a dad, show up at this castle, and they're trying to find a cure for their dying daughter.
Oh, God.
And now you get the choice to either kill them and keep their souls, which basically means their daughter will die, or you can let them escape and then deal with the repercussions later. So
dilemma.
Right. So you can assume, you can just assume what option I chose. And then additionally, when you would kill other intruders, it gives you the opportunity to get more magic points, or earn gold, depending on whether you take their souls or just flat out kill them. You get the options. And basically, all of these decisions you make lead up to one of 6 different endings for the game.
God damn, these multi-endings.
Of course, multiple endings. So depending on the choices you make throughout the game, you can get 6 different endings. Now, when I originally talked about Tecmo's Deception in this on our podcast, I had no idea that it was a series. I thought there was just one game because I never heard from it again. Little did I know, when I went to the Pinball Hall of Fame, there was a retro game store next door. Mm-hmm. I went to that store, Gamers Paradise, and the guy behind the desk that was working there told me he was a huge fan of the Deception series. And I looked at him and I said, "What do you mean series?" And they proceeded to tell me, and then of course I looked it up later, that there were several sequels to Tecmo's Deception that were created. Huh. There is Kagero, basically Deception 2 for PlayStation.
Okay.
Deception 3, Dark Delusion for PlayStation.
Okay.
Trapped, TRAPT, for PlayStation 2. Now, I have all of those games. Okay. And then after that, we got Deception 4, Blood Ties for PlayStation 3.
Oh, wow.
And Deception 4, The Nightmare Princess for PlayStation 3 and 4.
Really? Wow, went that far.
Yeah, so it's all the way up to current gen.
All right.
So the original Tecmo's Deception was actually fairly well received in terms of reviews. So Electronics Gaming Monthly gave it a 33 out of 40. Game Informer gave it a 6.5 out of 10, which is, decent.
Okay.
IGN 7 out of 10. GamePro was very favorable towards it. It was 18.5 out of 20.
Oh, wow.
Sales for the game, which is probably why most people don't know it. North American sales for this game were fairly low. It sold 40,000 copies.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So super low.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those games, when you think about the content
mm-hmm.
And the theme of the game, it's probably not that well received,
Yeah, right.
It's like, hey, everybody, play a game and, help Satan. I'm sure I'm surprised this wasn't damned and a bunch of Bible games released.
All the craze of 1996.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, outside of that, there's fairly little. Outside of that, fairly little information because again, this wasn't a very well-known game. The only one little cheat, quote unquote, and it's not even a cheat that I found for the game, was that if you put the disc into a CD player, track 2 actually has a hidden music track on it.
Really?
Yeah. But outside of that, like no codes, no anything. Basically, it's just turn the game on and help Satan. And you know what? And I've enjoyed helping Satan for over 20 years. So that is this week's Retro Spotlight, Tecmo's Deception, Invitation to Darkness. And this week we're introducing a new mini segment for our podcast called Did You Know? And we're going to start off with a good one, Larry. I got a question for you.
Okay.
What was the first officially licensed video game based on a movie?
First
officially licensed game based on a movie.
Based on a movie. I'm gonna say Star Trek.
Star Trek. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Star Trek is a television series, first off.
Well, it had movies.
No, they had movies. But yes, I know we had brought up the whole concept of Microvision on the handheld console. The Microvision was had the first licensed handheld game with Star Trek, but that is incorrect.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. All right. So what was it?
The first movie to officially give their license over to create a video game was actually Tron.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Tron. Now, Tron was released in 1982, but while they were during production of the film, work was underway on different video game adaptations. And it makes sense when you think of the concept of the film. A video game just makes sense for it.
Yeah.
And not only did it come out with one video, it came out with multiple video games.
So, absolutely.
So in 1982, the first game that hit the shelf was Mattel's Tron Deadly Discs, released for Intellivision 6 months prior to the actual movie premiere.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And then additional video games for Tron that were released were the actual Tron video game, Tron Mazatron, Adventures of Tron, and Discs of Tron. So all different. Those were the first officially licensed games. Now, there were games that come out previously based on films. Like if you went to the arcade, there was actually a game for Jaws. There was a game for Death Race in the 70s, but they did not get permission to officially license the game. So Disney was the first one to actually officially license out their film for a video game. And that is this week's Did You Know?
And this week in gaming. What do we got, bro?
All right. Well, I was with the gentleman last week, and all that's usually going through my head is his intro, Josh's intro into this week in gaming, even when I was walking with him.
Yeah, it's one of those things that wakes me up in the middle of the night, and I'm usually screaming when it happens.
So what do we got this week, Ant?
So this week in gaming, we're going back further than we've ever gone back before.
Really? Oh man.
Yes. This is a record for us for this week in gaming.
Back to mole people. Okay.
We are going back to 1971.
Wow. Yes. Okay.
1971. The HP Basic version of Star Trek was released.
Oh, wow. 71.
So, in 1971, it was a mainframe game. It was a text-based computer game that basically put you in charge of the USS Enterprise, and your mission was to destroy the Klingon warships.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's completely run in Microsoft Basic. And it came out in 1971, and it was available on mainframe. So basically, it was going to be like one of those big giant computers.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. Huh.
So that was actually kind of cool to go all the way back to 1971. Star Trek. Now we're going to jump all the way to 1978.
Warp 1, engage. 78, okay.
1978. and I don't know if I can say this correctly, but Santa Paravia and Fumaccio on the TRS-80 was released. Now,
Is that a
I know.
Spanish game? Sounds like a Spanish game.
No, actually, it's an Italian game.
Oh.
Or
right.
it's basically, or it has Italian origin. So, it's basically a precursor to a SimCity game, kind of a
really?
SimCity-like game,
Wow.
where you're a merchant in 15th century Italy,
Mm-hmm.
and basically you have to build yourself up from a merchant prince to a king or a queen, and that's how you would win the game. And the way you would win the game is basically kind of similar to a SimCity game where there are like natural disasters that happen and people invade and things like that, but you're supposed to basically build the city up and become king or queen of your city. So that is Santa Paravia and Fiumecchio,
Okay.
or however you say it, because I'm Italian but horrible at saying it. Moving on to 1982 for DOS,
Okay.
we got Computer Operator.
Isn't that every game?
Yeah, so basically it's a text-based game where you are a computer operator.
Oh, I would never have guessed.
that is literally what the game is about. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yes, very much.
Moving on to 1985, we got the arcade version of Tennis for Two.
Oh, okay. At least it's a two-player game.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you can't figure out what that is, it's Tennis for Two. It's two-player tennis. Moving on to 1986 on the Famicom Disk System in Japan.
Okay.
We got one of our favorite games, Pro Wrestling.
Oh, nice.
The original Pro Wrestling with
Sweet.
Starman.
Starman. I saw
then
Starman a few weeks ago when I went to the wrestling show.
I know you did. And then there was that weird who was that weird lizard guy?
Oh, the Amazon.
The Amazon, that's it. That weird lizard Amazon guy. Made no sense to me. Moving on to 1987 on the Sega Master System in Japan.
Okay.
Fantasy Zone 2.
Oh, nice game. Good game.
Yep. Moving on to 1988 on the Game & Watch multi-screen.
Oh, wow. In 88.
In 88 in the U.S.
Wow, that's late,
Which
I
thought
feel
was-
like. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty late too when I saw it. So Game & Watch multi-screen, the game was called Gold Cliff.
Okay, I never heard of that one.
I never heard of that one either, but I just thought it was interesting that it came
Yeah.
out that late. Moving on to 1989 on the Sega Genesis in Japan, Rambo 3, which I find funny because I can only imagine how Rambo translates in Japan.
Yeah, right?
But anyway,
Interesting.
Rambo 3 for the Genesis. Moving on to 1990 in
Not my
Japan. What?
Rambo. Not my war.
I was like, I had already moved on when you did that, so it kind of threw me off. That was
Takes a while for Stallone to get going.
I guess so. That was almost as frightening as Josh's intro. So moving on to 1990 on the Sharp X 68000.
Yes, Shucky Ducky. Nice.
Lipstick Adventure 2.
Whoa, sexy.
Probably was. Or at least probably was for a 1990 game. Let's leave it there. Moving on to 1991 on the Sega Genesis in Japan, we got Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
The original Spider-Man Genesis game, which I have the U.S. version.
Oh, yes. Okay, now, yes.
Yep. Awesome
Sweet.
game. Moving on to 1992 on the Game Boy in Japan, Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins.
Fantastic game. I mean, Super Mario Land was fun on the Game Boy. It really introduced Mario on the Game Boy, but the graphics were different. The story was a little different. Super Mario Land 2, though, brought it back to like that classic Mario look to it. Introduced Wario, who we all, love and adore.
Yeah.
Yep, that was his very first game. Fantastic game on the Game Boy.
Very cool.
And hopefully it'll be part of the possible Game Boy Classic Edition, which may or may not be coming out.
Oh, all right. Well, actually, further research on that showed that they're re-releasing the Game Boy. It sounds like not a Game Boy Classic.
I feel like that's the only way they can do it on that. We can talk about that next week, but I feel like you're not going to plug it into the television.
Right. Okay, so moving on to 1993. On Windows 3.x, we got Earth Invasion.
Okay.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
pretty straightforward.
Right. Moving on to 1994 on the 3DO in Japan.
Okay.
Alone in the Dark.
Ooh.
Really awesome, nice, scary game for anybody who wants to play something in October and have never played anything in the Alone in the Dark series. Go back to that original one. It's pretty cool.
That is a scary one. Yep.
1995, also on the 3DO, also in Japan. Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh, nice. Great series. Yep. Can't wait for that to come to the Switch.
Awesome series. Moving on to 1996. On the Super Nintendo, Marvel Superheroes in War of the Gems.
Classic.
Yep, and this was, I think, to my knowledge, the first game to come out and use the Infinity Gauntlet story.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it was a fighting game, but you could get your hands on the Infinity Gems, which would give you different special abilities.
Oh, cool.
Yep, it was very cool. And then, of course, Thanos was the guy you played against at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to 1987 on PlayStation, Rampage World Tour.
Oh, I love that game. I had it on N64, but a classic.
Yes, that I remember. I mean, how do you not have fun in a game that involves you climbing buildings and eating people?
That better be the storyline of the movie that The Rock is making. No? Okay.
Larry, this time you froze.
Oh, uh-oh. Honestly, that better be the storyline of the movie that The Rock is filming about Rampage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because if they don't eat anybody, it's just not worth it.
Not at all. And they better be mutant people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would expect Dwayne Johnson to turn into one of like the giant gorilla or the giant lizard that climbs up and down the buildings and eats people.
George and Lizzie.
Yeah,
the ever forgotten, what was it, Ralph? The werewolf?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Whatever it was.
Honestly, I think The Rock would make a good Lizzie. I don't know why. Just because the name Lizzie is cool. Moving on to 1998 on the Nintendo 64, Body Harvest.
Ooh, creepy.
Another creepy. Moving on to 1999 for Windows, Age of Empires 2, The Age of the Kings.
Nice. Good series.
Yeah, Age of Empires is still going on right
now.
Yeah,
honestly, yeah.
Yeah, super popular. 2000 on the Game Boy Color, we got Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Which were just re-released on the 3DS.
Yes, they were.
Virtual Console.
Yep. I still, to this date, have not played a traditional Pokemon game.
I started when it came out on the Virtual Console, and I kind of stopped. I got to pick it up again. Not because I was bored, just I went on to something else.
Right. Well, which is what you always do.
It is.
Yeah, you have a tendency to not finish games, Larry.
Not as of late. That's been changing.
I know, which is good. You're finally understanding the purpose of a video game, which is to beat it.
And have fun at the same time.
Yes, but it's to beat it. Moving on to 2001 on the PlayStation 2, Devil May Cry. I loved this game.
Great series. Fantastic series.
Yeah, sadly, I never got past the second one because they had changed some of the mechanics in the second one, and I kind of lost interest. But then in Devil May Cry 3, I heard they went back to the original mechanics.
They did.
But I never went back to it. But that first game, I remember playing through it. I was just in awe of that game.
You can pick up like the HD trilogy. I think you can download it on Xbox and PS, PlayStation.
Yeah, I will eventually pick it up and add it to the collection of games I will never get to play. Moving on to 2002 on the Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube, Blood Rain.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
Blood Rain?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Moving on to 2003 on PlayStation and Windows, MTV Celebrity Deathmatch.
Awesome.
I remember watching that show and loving that show. Yeah, I loved that show. Yeah, and the fact that they actually made a game was great. Unfortunately, the game was awful.
Oh,
but still.
Absolutely.
Moving on to 2004 on Game Boy Advance, we got Kirby and the Amazing Mirror.
I don't think I played that one.
I never played that. I've never played a single Kirby game, which will be rectified now that two of them are on the Super Nintendo Classic.
Absolutely.
or SNES Classic.
Nope.
Moving on to 2005 on Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
That's where the series started to trail off.
Yeah, I think so. Like there was Tony Hawk 1, 2, and 3, all great.
Yep.
Then they started theming them like Underground and American Wasteland. I feel like that's when they started to go off the rails.
Agreed.
No pun intended. And we're going to finish off in 2006 on the original Microsoft Xbox, Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
Oh, is that the side-scrolling? Is that one of the offshoots?
No. Armageddon was a traditional Mortal Kombat, but I think it was one of the first ones. I think Deadly Alliance came before that, but I think Armageddon was one of the first ones that actually had a single player story mode.
Oh, yes.
It had a story mode, but still the crux of the game was just the actual.
I remember. I know what you're talking about. I remember now. All right.
Yep. No, the Mythology series was when they were doing the single player side scrollers. Yeah, Sub-Zero, and then the one with Jax and Sonya, whatever it was. But that is this week in gaming.
Fantastic. All right. Ant, you got anything coming up?
I don't know. What do I have coming up?
I have no idea. You tell me.
No, I mean, Halloween is almost upon us. I get to officially celebrate another year of existence on this planet.
There you go. Oh, yes, that's
very
right.
soon. Yeah, it's coming up. Hooray! I'm just gonna keep playing video games to drown my sorrows.
Good. That's what I plan on doing.
Exactly. What about you?
What do I got? I got my half-season tickets to the Islanders. Been doing that. Got the Ace Comic-Con at the Nassau Coliseum in December 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's a brand new Comic-Con.
Very nice.
Undertaker's going to be there, and most of the cast of the Justice League movie will be there, short of Batfleck.
Ooh. Yeah, well, Batfleck's got some problems he's dealing with right now.
Oh, does he?
In the media.
Oh,
yeah, with the whole Harvey Weinstein scandal.
Oh, I didn't know he was connected to that.
Oh, yeah, no.
Really?
Well, he released a statement saying that he was shocked and disgusted about all the allegations to Harvey Weinstein, and then it came out that in 2003, on television no less, he nip-slipped Hillary Burton.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez.
So, he's got. Yeah, I think yes, he wants to promote Justice League, but I think right now he should probably not.
Fair enough. Then at the end of this month, I got Chiller Theater in New Jersey, Parsippany, New Jersey.
I used to love going to Chiller Theater.
It's going to be awesome. Actually going for 2 days.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Saturday with some friends of mine from work, and then Sunday with the co-host of the Yin and the Yang, or actually the host of the Yin and the Yang, a podcast you can listen to on the More of the Same network, Anthony Chu. So I'll be
Anthony Chu
there with him, and the Yin and Yang drops every Thursday. Every Thursday here on the More of the Same network. You can pretty much search for it on iTunes.
Larry, your network is growing, man. It's getting frightening.
Leaps and bounds. You're telling me, man. I got, this show drops every Tuesday. Search for it on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube. The Yin and the Yang drops Thursdays. The Better Half, myself and Frank, every other Wednesday. And when I have time to do it, amazingly, the Pro Slam World podcast is a little more every now and again, but I haven't forgotten about it. That's going to be coming back. That's usually on Fridays.
Very cool. And then this week on Tuesday, to repeat, we have our horror game live stream, and it's my turn this week.
Can't wait to see what you'll be playing. Excited.
I also can't wait to see what I'm playing because I haven't decided yet.
Awesome. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up because it's been a very long week, a very long weekend, and I need to go take a nap.
Ditto.
All right. Ant, I'll catch you next time.
All right, as always, been a pleasure.
And everyone, thank you again for listening and subscribing to The Retro Gamers.